Immersive sim is a rather rare genre among video games. However, sometimes you really want to feel the power over the game and go through it somehow in your own way. In the near future, significant projects of this genre are not expected to be released, but fortunately, Wild West came out just a few days ago. Certainly a worthy representative of it. So today you will find out how strange the Wild West can be. I hope you were looking forward to Wild West, because the mass hype somehow got past it. Which is a pity, because the game is really good. Wild West was developed by Wolfeye Studios, made up of Arcane employees who worked on Dishonored and Prey. So these guys clearly know what to do with immersive sim. As we have already known, the game is made in a very interesting setting. It isn't just the Wild West, it's the Wild West. Yes, maybe this idea isn't the most original, but here it is done in its own uncool way, among the cowboys and Indians, familiar to us, sirens who feed exclusively on human flesh hide, Aeneas performed their terrible rituals, and werewolves are endowed with religious significance. A lot more paranormal roams the expanses of this world. But his main merit is that it turned out to be really alive. It reacts to almost every action of the player and sometimes even the most obscure things. So, for example, in one of the quests I stole documents from someone, but I never used them, and they remained gathering dust in my inventory. It would seem that the case is closed, but then, a few days later, I receive a message from their owners. It turns out that they noticed the loss and guessed that it was me who stole them, so they declare war on me. This is how I made enemies for myself. Although, when I got these papers, I couldn't even think about it. But what strikes the most in the game is the scope of the actions allowed to the player. Most often, it isn't the game that limits you at all, but only yourself. Plot tasks are often completed in more than one way, and not even two. Sometimes it's not even clear whether the game thought out such a course of events, but no matter how you act, you will always be right, because that's what immersive sim is for, to encourage you to experiment. Unfortunately, side missions can boast of such diversity far from often. The game almost does not limit you in anything. If you want to kill all the plot characters, or cut out the entire population of the city, no one will argue with you. But in this case, be prepared to put up with the all upcoming consequences. Cities will be empty and inhabited by all sorts of ghosts. You will earn a vendetta, and you will live in eternal danger. But you can also make true friends by helping them in the vastness of this not at all friendly world. And in the future, they will not leave you offended either. Become famous as a legend of the West and get big discounts in the store. Or steal from the pockets of unsuspecting people at night. Just don't catch anyone's eyes. Otherwise, you won't avoid losing your reputation, because of which you may even be put in the wanted list. The world in the game is open and created, without jokes, in its best variation. Like in Fable or Dragon Age Origins, where both freedom and a good elaboration of locations are preserved, due to their size, of course. When you travel between destinations, you can be stopped along the way by various little events, like wandering traders or being attacked by a pack of wolves. All locations, even caves, are made non-linear, especially for the huge variability of the passage. Wild West is pretty big for an indie game. The whole storyline is divided into 5 chapters, where you play as different characters with different stories. The developers claim that the passage of only the first chapter can take up to 20 hours. I went through it in just 7. But believe me, I was in no hurry and completed all the quests that I saw. Except maybe bounty hunting. Perhaps 7 hours is not enough to fully get used to the role of the character, but in my opinion, the decision to provide the player with 5 characters from different classes at once in the one playthrough turned out to be extremely positive. Firstly, it is an opportunity to try several styles of passage at once, and secondly, this is a chance to look at the world of the game from completely different angles, because, for example, everyone has long known the bounty hunter and are happy to see her. while everyone is simply afraid of the pigman, despite and don't even want to talk to him. Of course, it was not without problems. The battles turned out to be somehow too dynamic. This, of course, is good on the one hand, but became of this in battles there is simply not enough time to use the environment. But here it really has a very large tactical potential. Various items are everywhere, and literally all of them can be used. Throw a kerosene lamp to set everything on fire. Shoot dynamite, thereby provoking an explosion. Kick a barrel of chemicals. Build a barricade or stairs out of boxes, and what only the imagination has enough for. The stealth turned out to be uncomfortable. The opponents were somehow too big-eyed. The game has a clear emphasis on open firefights. Most of the characters' skills are aimed especially at them. Of course, there will always be a shortage of ammunition and a small amount of health for the main character, but to be honest, I never completely ran out of ammo, and there were always plenty of first aid kits. Most conflicts are quite easily resolved by a simple shootout, but you want to win the battle in some interesting way. With straight arms it would certainly be a little easier, but nevertheless, most often this desire does not lead to anything good. The bugs did not bypass the game either. Most of all, I was angered by the disappearance of the horse with all the items that it wore. It just took it and evaporated. Also, sometimes in crucial moments, the character simply refuses to hit and shoot, only loading the save helps. Most likely, the bugs will be fixed in the near future, because the game just came out. As a result, it turned out to be a very exciting project, the advantages of which completely cover its shortcomings. So try it boldly, especially if you have not played any of the immersive sim genre yet. There are no many games in which you not only have great freedom of action, but also encounter consequences from them that affect not only you, but also the world around you. That is why, if for some reason you missed Wild West, I would advise you to fix it. You will certainly not be disappointed. And if I managed to open your eyes to the Wild West, then the best way to support the author would be to like and subscribe to this channel. Otherwise, you see, I will go on vacation again for a few months.